I know a young man called Fola, who, when he was much younger, was remarkably gifted. Fola was good at math, loved to read, and he excelled at the sciences. He wanted to be an engineer when he grew up. But like most young Nigerian boys growing up in the early 90s, he also wanted to be a professional footballer, given how well we were doing on the international scene back then. Fola grew up in a relatively upper middle class, comfortable home with his engineer dad and his veterinarian mom and his 2 older siblings. However, when he lost his mom in a tragic car accident at the age of 9, it took him a while to really understand the impact that had had on him and the family. But he poured himself with a remarkable focus into doing very well academically to please his grieving dad. But it wasn't until his dad passed away when he was only 15 that everything changed. From what schools he was able to attend, to how much he had to live on, to where he physically had to live, and that he was taken in by a no-nonsense great aunt who raised him alongside with his cousins and siblings. Faced with a new and limited scope of opportunities, Fola learned very quickly that the world owed him nothing, and that he had to work twice as hard to maximize every opportunity that came his way, to get one step closer to his goal. And through the setbacks, through the adversity, he excelled. He focused relentlessly on doing well at school and got into some of the best universities in Nigeria on scholarship, and was then able to enter a career in investment banking. Today, Fola's successful VP, and as we sat together talking about this TEDx talk and what I wanted to talk about, I asked him to imagine if his CV, instead of reading what schools he'd gone to and what GPA he'd achieved and what jobs he'd worked in and what leadership awards he'd won in his community, if his curriculum vitae documented his actual course of life, how he'd learned to deal with adversity at a young age from losing his parents, how he'd developed a remarkable sense of resilience that most of us only hope to develop in a lifetime, how he'd learned to work relentlessly hard and persevere towards his goals just to get scholarships to get into school. And before I even finished my question, Fola and I both knew the answer. If his CV didn't highlight the schools he'd been to and his work experience, he wouldn't have been screened in to even get an interview at any of the top firms. And yet, why is this? That our resumes, that are the first and sometimes the only representation of ourselves to employers, tend to focus on the academic achievements and not on what we have gone through in the school of life. And the answer is fairly simple, because employers use as their first and foremost filter the academic background, the professional achievements, the leadership awards in the community. A survey done by Burning Glass found that 65% of job postings for executive secretaries and assistants require a bachelor's degree, when actually only 19% of today's existing executive secretaries and assistants have a bachelor's degree. In my work in Nigeria, connecting unemployed youth to entry-level jobs, I get to meet with employers all the time. And every first conversation with an employer will always cover the question, well, what does it take for a young person to succeed in this job? Or the way I like to ask it is, why did the last person get fired? And usually the answer is not about technical ability. It's not about Excel files, or did they make the coffee right, or did they use the computer guest reservation system correctly. It's always about character. Did they take feedback well? Could they work well under pressure? Did they manage expectations about deliverables? Did they show up to work on time? Did they take ownership of problems rather than handing it back to you and saying, you figure it out? And yet, these employers will continually ask for academic requirements as the first screener. The truth is, a university degree is a proxy. It's a proxy for whether you are disciplined or can think critically or have the technical ability or can communicate well, or whether you can actually just focus on a goal for 4 years. However, as we know, there are many life experiences that also demonstrate that you can do these things. In actual fact, they build those things in you. And what's ironic is that the life experiences are all around us, from when we fail and we get back up to when we are given feedback and realize something new about ourselves, to when we try harder and just keep trying and sometimes realize we need to give up because we're not meant to do those things. So in our work at WAVE, West Africa Vocational Education, we screen in young people from low-income backgrounds, non-traditional candidates, who demonstrate a willingness to learn, a resilience and a determination to succeed. And we don't screen them in based on their IQ and whether they've gone to university. Most of our students have in fact not gone to university. We train them in these skills that employers tell us matter. How to communicate, how to work well in teams, how to make decisions, how to solve problems, how to manage expectations. We find that we're able to get a lot done in 3 weeks, and 75% of our students are able to connect to an entry-level job within 5 weeks of graduating from the program. Compare this with the average Nigerian university graduate who spends about 5 years searching in unemployment for the ideal entry-level job. There are bright spots when I think about companies like PricewaterhouseCoopers and Deloitte and Ernst & Young, who've all realized from their own internal evidence gathering that there's very little evidence that academic success is a predictor of performance on the job. Other surveys that have found that prior work experience in a relevant field is also not correlated to on-the-job performance. And I'm excited by employers and all of us in the room thinking twice the next time we decide to screen someone for a role and pushing ourselves to be creative in how we test people for their competencies and whether they can do the job, lest we miss out on the next Fola who really embodies the skills and the values that will make our team a success because he doesn't have the right profile on paper. And lest the Folas of the world miss out on the rich opportunities to learn through the school of life, what it really takes to be determined and focus on a goal and hit your head at a problem until it breaks, which is really, at the end of the day, what most of us want on our team. And I just look forward to a day when no young person is blocked out of economic opportunity because of what academic hand was dealt out to them or what financial circumstances gave them access to in terms of education and work experience, but instead, they were given access to opportunities to change their potential, ride their own wave to the future because of what they've gone through in the school of life right before their eyes, in plain sight. Thank you.